Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unlock a seriously cool grammar tool. It's one of those things that once you see it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. And it's going to completely transform your storytelling by adding clarity, depth, and even a little bit of time travel magic.
So let's start with a really common situation. You know that feeling when you're telling a story about something that happened, but the timing of events gets a little jumbled? It's a classic puzzle, but don't worry, grammar has a super elegant solution for us.
Okay, take a look at these two sentences. On the left, I got to the cinema, the film started. It's fine, I guess, but it's kind of vague. Did they happen at the exact same time? Now look at the right. When I got to the cinema, the film had started. Boom. Instantly. You know you're late. You missed the beginning.
So what's the deal here? What's creating that massive difference in meaning? And more importantly, why does this one tiny change matter so much when we're trying to tell a clear and, engaging story? That is exactly what we are about to break down.
The answer to our little puzzle is a fantastic bit of English grammar that honestly acts like a time machine for your sentences. It's called the past perfect tense, and trust me, it sounds way more complicated than it actually is.
So what is it? The past perfect is what you use when you're talking about an action that was completely finished before another action in the past. The best way to think about it, and I love this phrase, is as the past of the past. It lets you take one extra step back in time. And here's the best part. It is so easy to make. Seriously, the formula is just had plus the past participle of a verb. The form you use with have or has. So start becomes had started, see becomes had seen, eat becomes had eaten. That's it. Simple as that.
Okay, theory's over. We know what it is, we know how to build it. Now for the fun part. Let's see how this little time machine actually works in the wild with some real-world examples.
All right, its main job, its number one use, is to make the sequence of events crystal clear. Anytime you need to show that one thing in the past happened before another thing in the past, this is going to be your go-to tool.
Let's go back to our cinema example, because this timeline just makes it pop. See? At 7 p.m., the film started. That's the first past action. Then, 15 minutes later, at 7:15 p.m., I arrived. That little phrase, had started, perfectly places the beginning of the film before my arrival. No confusion.
Let's look at a couple more just to really nail this down. We couldn't get a table because we hadn't booked. The action of not booking happened before we tried to get the table. Or how about this one? I didn't recognize him because he had changed so much. The changing all happened before the moment I saw him. See how it just snaps the timeline into focus?
Okay, the second big place you're going to see this tense all the time is in what's called reported speech. This is just a fancy way of saying you're telling someone what another person said. When you do this, the tense often takes a little step back in time.
So, imagine your friend comes up to you, looks a little guilty, and says this, directly, I broke the window. Pretty straightforward, right? He's using the simple past tense.
Now, later on, you're telling the story to someone else. You would say, he said that he had broken the window. Why? Because the window breaking happened before he told you about it. The action took one step further into the past of the past.
So this all leads us to the main event, the ultimate showdown, past simple versus past perfect. When do you use the regular, everyday past tense, and when do you pull out this special tool?
This is the million-dollar question, right? Because getting this right is what really elevates your storytelling. It takes you from just listing events to actually crafting a narrative. So let's make it super simple.
Here it is, the simple rule of thumb. Use the past simple when everything is just happening in order, one thing after another. I went to the store and bought some milk. A, then B. Easy. But you use the past perfect when you need to jump back in time. I realize I had forgotten to buy milk. The forgetting happened before the realizing. That's the whole secret.
So as we wrap this up, I want you to stop thinking of this as just some dusty old grammar rule. I want you to start thinking of it as a genuine communications superpower that you now have.
Because look, at the end of the day, this isn't about passing a grammar test. It's about being a clear, precise, and compelling storyteller. The past perfect gives you control over the timeline. It lets you add backstory, build suspense, and create a way richer picture for whoever's listening.
So I'll leave you with a final thought to chew on. Think about your own life, an anecdote, a funny memory, any story. What story from your past can you tell more clearly, more effectively, now that you have this tool in your back pocket?